Hello YouTube, and today we are talking about the Will of D with my guest TEKKING101.
Wait, stop right there, you said Will of D. I've been wanting, my fans have been asking me to do this for a while, so it's a good thing that we're talking about that of all things today. It's weird, huh?
So, we have a little bit of an organized list here of what to discuss.
A little bit of one, just a tiny one. Yeah. So,
4 points.
we kind of brainstormed with these together, and we came up with, I have 6, just general bullet points. So, I don't know if that syncs up with yours. The first thing... And by the way, I should say just right now off the bat, like, this is just going to be a broad discussion video. Like, this is not going to be, like, a structured thing. This is just, I heard you wanted to do a crossover with me. I thought that sounded like a lot of fun. I've been a fan of some of the stuff you're doing, your JoJo stuff, and some of My Hero Academia stuff you were doing. You're doing a good job with that.
Yay!
Not one for, like, scripting videos or anything, so I thought it would be best just to do this kind of loosey-goosey sort of thing. I might make another video about the Will of D in the future. You might do that, too. But this is just going to be a fun little discussion of stuff together, putting two YouTubers' minds together to try to decipher the secrets of Oda's story, because he is a mastermind after all. Yes. And if I keep looking, you might notice that I'm going to lancing down. I have 2 different cameras set up because this was like half an hour trying to set everything up, and it's just been a mess. So I have 2 different cameras I'm working with right now. Okay. So the first thing I have here is what does it actually stand for? You know, the Will of D. The Will of D. Are you a fan of Nun Piece? It's a like an abridged series.
No. I've heard of it. I've never actually seen it.
I would recommend it. It hasn't been going on for a while. The guy that started it, Purple Eyes WTF, he's kind of not doing it anymore. But he had like a skit with that where it's like, D, what does it stand for? Yeah, what does it stand for? It stands for D. D-E-E. That's literally what it stands for. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, okay. What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like I've been jawing on for a while, so go ahead.
Oh, there are like a boatload of theories. Like, people saying that it stands for descendant, hey, aka the descendants of the ancient kingdom. I think that's a little bit of an oxymoron that it would stand for descendant, though, because it's obvious that it's been passed down.
Descendant, I've heard destroyer, because it's supposed to be the enemy of God, the ones that are going to destroy the world government, the ones that are going to bring it down. And I was sitting down trying to just break down what words it could actually mean, and I came to the realization that if it was just any standard word like deceiver or something, wouldn't that be kind of anticlimactic if it was just like, after 20 years, that's all it meant was deceiver or destroyer or just like a normal adjective. So I came up with the idea it might actually be somebody's name, or it might be a word that's more relevant than just just a standard word like deceiver or something like that.
Right.
So what did you think of something like that? Like, what's up?
I did think of something like that. I thought that would be interesting if it was actually the name of the ancient kingdom. And that's why it's just D, because they're keeping it a secret or something.
Yeah, and the world government is nobody's mentioning what it is. Everyone's very secretive of what the D actually stands for. So that gets me thinking of 2 possibilities. Number one, it's going to be like a symbolic thing. It's not going to be like the D actually doesn't have an actual meaning to the word. It's just the will that's passed down. Like, did you ever watch Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you say that as a fangirl, yeah, or just I've seen it from time to time, yeah?
I've seen it from time to time.
Okay, I've seen it from time to time. But anyway, the Doctor is the main character of Doctor Who, and a big thing for a while was like, what's his actual name? And he's like, what's important is not my name, it's the title of the Doctor. So I think that might be something similar with, and that starts with D. Maybe D stands for Doctor. Maybe that's the case. Makes sense for law. But yeah, it could be like it doesn't actually have a definition. It's not actually short for a word. It's just that's the symbol of D. Either that or the word itself has meaning. Like, the reason they don't say it is because if they did say it, it's like a word that actually carries some sort of like, I don't want to say like magic power or something to it, like a spell word or something, but it might, like a code, a password. I don't know.
Who knows, man? Once you get to Raftel, maybe there's like this ancient tomb. You gotta say the word to open it.
I thought of that. Like, that's the reason nobody says what it is. Because, do you think anybody even, like, aside from Roger, do you think if anyone actually knows what it stands for? Like, and if somebody would, who would it be?
It's hard to say, because like most of the people who we know knew what it was are dead now.
Exactly. Like Roger definitely. Well, Roger didn't expressly say to Whitebeard, like, I'll tell you what the D actually stands for. He was like, I think Whitebeard was like, what is the D all about or something? And Roger was like, you want to know? I'll tell you then. It's a story from a long time ago. So he doesn't actually set it up like, oh, the D stands for deceiver. Oh, okay, that's what that means. You know? So, yeah, Whitebeard's dead, though. Roger's dead. I would assume high-ranked members of the Marines like Sengoku or possibly like Kong, the commander-in-chief, he would probably know what it is, but they're the Marines, of course. They're going to make damn sure not to talk about it.
Right.
Because that's the piracy.
I guess you could argue that Roger's crew might know.
Oh, they definitely know. Yeah, because I think even Rayleigh pretty much flat out and said, and I think it was to Robin, because they were talking about the Void Sentry, and because the Void Sentry and the Will of D, I think they have a close connection with each other, because with the Void Sentry, you have three important things that happen. You have the Poneglyphs coming into existence, you have the Will of D coming into existence, and you have the world government coming into existence. All that happened within the Void Sentry, so they're all interconnected somehow. I'm sure Rayleigh definitely knows.
Do you think the D is mentioned on the Poneglyphs?
I do believe it probably would be, since they're so interconnected. I'm trying to think. Were they already mentioned once before on the Poneglyphs in the story that we know of?
Not that we know of, although Robin did mention it before when she first met Luffy, so some people think that she saw it on a Poneglyph before. I think it might just be because she knew Jaguar D. Saul.
Yeah, because whenever she met Saul, she heard about the D, but I don't know if it's like she researched it herself from that, or if she found out about it from the Poneglyphs. It seems like, I think after she defeated, well, no, this was just from a movie. I don't think this was actually canon, but I do remember a scene that after Luffy defeats Crocodile, Robin's thinking to herself, after she was saved by Luffy, she's thinking to herself, I've been saved by two people named D. Jaguar D. Saul and Monkey D. Luffy, although I can't remember if that was canon or if that was something just in the movie. But it seems like Robin doesn't know a lot about it, so either she didn't read the Poneglyphs that had that information. Maybe it's only on the Rio Poneglyph.
Maybe they only like briefly mentioned it, but didn't actually know what it meant at the time. I don't know.
Yeah, because the people the Poneglyphs were created by the Kozuki clan. They were like stonesmiths that created it. But who they intended them to actually be read by, that seems to be a little bit more up in the air, I guess, because you have to know this strange, obscure language. Then again, you get some people like Roger, who's capable of just reading the voices, like he can understand the voices of all things.
Right.
So it's like, I guess the Kozuki clan was supposed to be responsible for carrying on the Poneglyph, like how to read it, but it was lost after a while. Like Odin apparently knew how to read them, I think.
Considering that Roger found out all the history and then he was talking about the Will of D, like, oh, it's a story from long, long ago, you could assume that maybe it was written on the Poneglyphs and we still have to get there to really learn about it. Kind of like connecting the dots.
Oh, by the way, little trivia fun fact. Did you know there's a Poneglyph in Impel Down?
No, I did not.
I didn't either. It might just be a thing on Oda's part. It might just be his scribblings or whatever. But there's a scene that somebody snapshotted and sent to me on Twitter. He's like, did you know about this? And sure enough, there looks like, it's like on a random panel. It's not like a big thing. But in the background, there seems to be like Poneglyph, at least script, written on the side of the wall. Now, I should have rephrased that. I don't think it's an actual Poneglyph. I think it's just the Poneglyph writing style. And
yeah,
whether or not that's...
Maybe like a prisoner there.
Maybe either that or somebody, or Oda's just designing it and it looks like it, but it's not actually supposed to be relevant. But I just thought that was interesting. I just found out about that yesterday. Yeah.
That is pretty interesting.
Let's see. There's 4 road Poneglyphs. They only talk about Raftel, though. So obviously it's like different Poneglyphs talk about different things. I don't know if we have seen a Rio Poneglyph yet. Because I always thought it was just every poneglyph, put them together, that makes the Rio poneglyph. But then we find out in the last arc that there's 30 total, and only 9 of them are Rio. So I don't know if we've seen one of those yet or not.
Yeah, it's usually not that clear.
I'm trying to think of the ones we have seen. So there was one in Alabasta. There was one in Skypiea. Well, actually, people have corrected me on that. It wasn't in Skypiea. It was in Jaya originally, and then it got shot into Skypiea by the knockup stream. So I asked, like, how did it get up there? Maybe Eneru's involved in this. I try to go back to Eneru for everything because I want Eneru to show back up again. I want his moon empire to be relevant at some point.
Oh, I'm sure he'll show back up.
Because he's just up there with a giant legion of robots, and he's like the king of the moon. He could invade and like take over the world, the Blue Sea, if he really wanted to. Which, by the way, have you ever heard that Oda said that what Eneru's bounty would be if he's like a normal pirate?
What did it say?
500 million. It would be like the same as like Luffy, the same as like Luffy's and Law's is now. So that's pretty impressive. But yeah, that's poneglyphs. Let's see. Oh, you wrote down something interesting that I didn't even consider, and that was like Blackbeard being a fake one.
Yeah.
So what was your basis for saying that? Because I've never thought of that before.
Well, people have discussed it before because how Whitebeard acted towards him during the war. He said, it's not you that they're waiting for. And also just the fact that he doesn't share a lot of traits that a lot of them share. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's a bad guy. One of these things just doesn't belong.
One of these things just isn't like the other. Oh my god, Blackbeard killed us all. That's good. Blackbeard, I always took the D clan to mean their overall objective, the will that is passed down is to fight against the world government, to fight against the world nobles, right? That appears to be their enemy anyway. So I would imagine some of the carriers of the Will of D would be a little bit more violent than the others. Like Blackbeard just takes it to like the most extreme degree you could have. Blackbeard is more of a he's not like burn the whole world down, but he's not very far from that, you know. He would take a much more violent approach to dethroning the government. Meanwhile, Luffy is more of just like he's not like a full frontal, let's just go and just burn down the holy city or whatever. He's more of just like living out his own dreams and freedom and stuff. And perhaps like Luffy finding the One Piece and discovering what this all means and stuff would be like the ultimate like middle finger to the world government, you know? And that's how he kind of like manages to beat them in the end. But then Blackbeard just takes a more serious way about it. But then I started thinking about what you said, and I started thinking like, yeah, he doesn't seem to exhibit a lot. He's very cowardly in certain respects. The way he acts to things, he seems to. He's the weirdest dichotomy to me because there's some scenes where he's like really smart, and then there's other scenes where he's like stupid as a some metaphor for stupid that I can't think of right now. But like I'm gonna walk right into Magellan's poison, and he just wipes us out, you know. But there's other times where he's like, he comes up with this master plan to become a warlord and then infiltrate Impale Down and then somehow gain access to Marineford, all to steal Whitebeard's devil fruit. So it's like a weird dichotomy here with him.
Oh yeah, he thought ahead pretty damn far.
Mm-hmm. I think possibly, I don't know how you could even be a fake D unless like, do you think the Will of D, do you think that comes from like a clan? Like a clan of people that are like related? Or do you think it's just a group of people that have the name?
I mean, so far we've seen that it's been passed down through relatives, so I have to, like, assume that.
Yes, but the only thing about that is I feel like, well, it would be good and bad, because if that was the case, if it was like a clan of a bunch of people that were all, like, biologically related to one another, that would mean, like, Ace and Luffy are blood related, distantly. So that's cool. But then you would get, like, Luffy's also related to Blackbeard if he turns out to be true and stuff like that. It turns out to be a real one.
Yeah. And then they're related to giants.
Yeah.
Saul.
Maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah, I remember when Saul was talking about that. They were talking about, like, I think Robin asks him about his name, and Saul's just like, he says something like, yeah, that's apparently been in our name for centuries, but I don't quite understand it, or something like that, you know, because he didn't know.
So it's not being passed down very well, I guess, if they don't tell them what it means, you know, because Saul had no idea what it even meant. So maybe it's like anybody that just carries this will have a special power or something. This automatically, like the power to read things and stuff. But I don't think we've ever seen Law have that ability.
No. It's just been Luffy so far.
And Roger.
And Roger,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, Roger. There was a scene in Zoe when Zunisha was talking, and you know nobody could hear it except for Luffy and Momonosuke, and you see a scene with Law, and there's like an exclamation mark over him, like, and so people are trying to stretch that to mean, oh, that means he heard it, or that just means he's surprised by it. I don't think he heard anything, because the voice of Zunisha was apparently like so loud, like Luffy was like holding his ears, like he couldn't bear it. So I don't think Law could hear it.
I think that's way too much of a stretch to make.
Yeah, I think it's more about just a connection between Roger and Luffy in some way, specific for them.
So if Blackbeard was a fake D, then that brings up the question, like, does he know about the Will of D, or did he had like found people he knew with the Will of D who he probably killed and then stole their name?
I wouldn't put it behind Blackbeard. Do you remember, like, there was like an SBS, Oda drew Blackbeard as a kid, and he was like this very impoverished poor guy. So I know it's sad. Blackbeard he had a sad upbringing. That's why he's so evil. But so I wouldn't put it past him at one point in his life, because he the whole thing he killed his crewmate that he was with for years to get the Yami Yami no Mi.
Yeah.
I don't think that Blackbeard has any idea what the D means. Dreamer or dreams. That's another thing I heard, because that's something that Luffy and Blackbeard and everybody always talks about. You know, my dreams and everything. Well, that's kind of a overall thing with One Piece. But yeah, I don't think Blackbeard knows what it means. I think it's more of just like the will is passed down. So even if you don't know what it means, you'll still carry out the will one way or the other. Kind of like that predetermined destiny stuff,
right.
Which I'm not a huge fan of that in lots of fiction. Like, you are the child of prophecy. Ooh, you're not destined to greatness because of your own merits. You're destined for greatness because 600 years ago, a bunch of old people wrote it down in a book. So I'm not a fan of that trope, and I hope that's not what it turns out to be.
The will of destiny.
The will of destiny. It's a bunch of old people from the Void Century wrote it down in a book. One day there'll be a straw-hatted young lad that will save the world. Like, son of a bitch. But, okay, but, yeah, I don't think he knows what it is, though. I personally think he's a real D. I think it's genuine. And it's just there's some members of the D clan that are, if you want to call it that are better than others. Some are more, toward the burning end of the spectrum, like burn down the fucking government. The other, now this video is going to get flagged because I said that. And the other half is more like Luffy and Ace and Law. They're not taking such a direct route. But they're all taking steps to fight against the status quo, to fight against the government in some way,
Right. Even though, like, Luffy and Blackbeard are complete opposites, they both all have that drive to their goals.
Not as much. There's a few similarities between them. And I mentioned this before when I made a few videos about Blackbeard, but there's a few disturbing similarities between Blackbeard and Luffy. Because Blackbeard always talks about, like, the era of pirates' dreams will never die, and Luffy's basically kind of said some stuff like similar to that before. Not exactly in those words, but he believes in dreams, he believes in freedom, he believes in all this stuff. And so there's a lot of people that consider Blackbeard just like a dark version of Luffy. If Luffy's life ended up... Like, basically, what would have happened if Luffy wasn't raised with Sabo and Ace and didn't have people like Garp and Don that cared for him? If he was, like, raised by himself as, like, an orphan his whole life, like Blackbeard probably was, given how Oda drew him, Luffy might turn out the same way. And I think part of Luffy maybe sees that, and it, like, even at least subconsciously pisses him off, which is why whenever like, obviously he has enough reason to hate Blackbeard because he captured Ace, but I think there's, like, some more to it to that,
I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
No. We all like to hear you talk, so it works out.
I don't know why that is. My friends, there's always a cap with them. It's like, Matt, you're an awesome friend, but you talk way too fucking much. I'm like, I was working the other day, to do a digression, I was working at Dollar Tree. I was telling my coworker something. In the middle of the conversation, she just starts busting out laughing, and I'm like, what? And she's like, Matt, you just talk a lot. I'm like, yeah, I know. But anyway, yeah, bring up another subject. Come on, something else. All
right, you want to talk about the Ancient Kingdom?
No, how about you talk about the Ancient Kingdom? I'm going to duct tape my mouth shut for this one. Because I feel like people are going to watch this on your channel and they're going to be like, my God, this guy doesn't shut up.
Well, most of the people on my channel are, like, huge fans of you, so...
Oh, really? Awesome. That's cool.
I'm going to support... If this... I might upload this on my channel. I don't know how you would want to break this down yet, how we want to distribute it. I certainly want you to upload it on yours first, and then maybe I'll upload it on mine later. But I'm going to put out a video that's going to, like maybe I'll talk about something else, and I'll give it, like, hey, before you watch this, go check out this video on DanFan's channel, or something like that. I'll give you a plug, because I think you deserve it.
No.
You have received the passage, the rightful badge of honor from Tekking. Now you have to get it from Chibi and Roger, and you'll be good. Alright, so Ancient Kingdom, go.
Are you really gonna just duct tape it the whole time? Mm-hmm. Make sure that doesn't get in your hair. It's gonna be a bitch to pull out. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ancient Kingdom. And their connection to the Will of D. A lot of people think that they're the descendants of the Ancient Kingdom, but it's obvious that they have some sort of connection.
Alright, I'm sorry, I'll stop. I'm good thing I cut my hair recently, because otherwise that would have gotten stuck. Do you remember the scene in, what was it? It was Robin's backstory when this was brought up first. Okay. We see this kingdom. I'm honestly surprised. This is why I love the One Piece fandom. They remember things, because this was mentioned like over 10 years ago, and it was like one chapter in like one panel where Clover was like, there's this kingdom a long time ago, and the name of this kingdom is, and then he gets shot right before he's about to say what it was. So and he was talking to a Gorosei, and Professor Clover wasn't a smart guy, if I'm actually thinking about this. Because he was talking to a Gorosei about something he knows is illegal. And, I mean, I guess he figured he was going to die anyway. I guess he was figuring he was maybe going to try to get something out of them. But they weren't having it. So, do you have any just general thoughts on that land, though? Like, some people say it's Raftel. Some people say it's, like, some other hidden island. Because... the way that it's set up is, like, Raftel's not the last island that the log poses point to. The kingdom might be the last island that the log poses point to, but it's maybe, Raftel's like another island. Because Raftel's, like, under the ocean. You gotta, like, raise it up that way. It's, like, a special way you have to get to Raftel. But, yeah, do you have any just general thoughts on it?
Generally, I just kind of pictured it already being destroyed, and then there's just nothing left of it except for the poneglyph. So
you'll think this is like you'll find a poneglyph there when they get to it, or maybe more than one?
Maybe.
If I remember correctly, it was... Did the world government do something to it? Because I'm trying to remember that conversation that Clover had with the Gorosei, if he said that the world government found out about it and destroyed it, or this kingdom... A lot of people have said it's connected to the ancient weapons, which is another thing that's on this list that we're going to get to.
Right.
So, yeah, I personally think it's the last island in the Grand Line they're going to get to, and when they get to that island, they're going to find out, because the way that Inuarashi and Nekomamushi talked about it was when you get to that last island on the log pose route, that's when you're supposed to find out about the poneglyphs and the road poneglyphs and Raftel and all that stuff. It's just like that's what happened with Roger. Roger got there first, found out about road poneglyphs, Raftel. Okay, let's go there now, and that was like the new attempt to his journey. Maybe we'll find out in like 10, 15 years when we finally get to that point. That's the sucky thing. I mean, we could talk about this stuff, but I'll probably be like, I'll have a family of like 3 kids, and I'll be married for 10 years before I actually manage to find out about this stuff.
We're getting closer. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Oda did come out. I love when in the 20th year anniversary he came out and said, just bear with me a little bit longer. And then in the review, I just stared at the camera and I'm like, Oda, don't think you're almost done with this, buddy. There's still a lot of things you need to answer. We're not even close. Don't think you could just like, all right, guys, we only got a few years left. No. You're not ending this like a train wreck. We're gonna make sure of that. Now I'm imagining like a bunch of One Piece fans after they find out like if the One Piece is not what they like it, they're gonna like, pick up a bunch of pitchforks and torches at Oda's house and like, I'm flying to Japan.
Like, all my theories are ruined.
Oh my god, what are all my theories? You mean to tell me the ancient weapons weren't connected to Pluton, weren't connected to Eneru on the moon, and it turns out that the Gorosei aren't related to the moon people? What? I always go back to the moon. I have a fetish for the moon. I don't know why. I already made a video about it, but I think I'm gonna make another one. Moon power. And I played Pokemon Moon. Is that a connection? I don't know.
I definitely need the moon people to come down to the planet.
Yeah. Because that's apparently where all the sky people came from, was the moon originally.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus
the Kins and the Skypeans and the Shandorians, they all originated on the moon, so yeah, space is weird. Now I'm imagining like the end of One Piece is going to be Luffy and the gang getting in a spaceship and just flying like second star on the right straight on till morning, guys, and then like this to start a whole new adventure in space.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It would turn into Dragon Ball Z. They're just fighting over universes all of a sudden.
Oh my god, that sounds like the best idea ever. I'm actually fine. I would be fine with that. Wouldn't you be fine with that?
I'd still watch it.
Me too, yeah. Just keep this going. They're never going to let One Piece die. Even when One Piece ends, it's not going to end.
Because you see what happened with like Naruto. Naruto, the mangaka was done, but it made a lot of money, so other people picked it up and started doing Boruto, which is, I haven't watched a single episode of Boruto, but yeah, I just don't have any
I heard it was
in
nothing special, so.
I don't have any. I watched halfway through the movie and that was it. It's just like, my passion, have you ever had a passion for Naruto? Were you like really into it at one point?
Not really. I mean, maybe like during the beginning of it, but at that point, like, it was all 4Kids-esque. Everything got canceled and replaced so quickly, so.
I don't think Naruto was done by 4Kids. I don't think it ever was.
Oh, really? Huh.
I think it was. I think it was, because the voice actors I know have all been, like, the voice of Naruto has been the voice of Naruto since the very beginning. And I don't think they did by 4Kids, no, because I know a lot of weird, I know they definitely did not do it, because I remember watching some of the really early episodes of Naruto on Toonami back in like 2005, and Naruto was doing like his sexy jutsu stuff.
I do remember like Naruto being on Cartoon Network at some point, right?
Oh yeah, it started on Cartoon Network in 2005, but I definitely remember him doing like there was like half-naked ladies, and 4Kids would have never let that fly by a country mile. So yeah, but I remember watching it when I was like 12, getting super into it. It was right around when we got into the war that I really just started to like, not care about it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Naruto. You want to talk about the ancient weapons now? I guess,
sure.
Since I mentioned it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, first off, before we get into that, the last ancient weapon, Uranus, or however you want to pronounce it, because that word is always funny no matter which way you pronounce it. Do you think we've already seen it? Because some people say it's Zunisha, some people say it's Momonosuke because he can control Zunisha, some people say it's the moon. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen Uranus yet.
Okay.
But I do think it's something to look forward to in the future.
I think it has to do with something relating to the sky.
Oh,
because,
100%.
You have Poseidon, which is something sea-based, which is the Sea Kings, the ability to control Sea Kings. Mm. And then we have Pluton, from which what we know, Pluton was just a huge battleship that was built in Water 7 that I guess is still moored somewhere. See, this is the thing with One Piece fandoms, is they try to connect all together like everything has to connect to something else. So there's people that say maybe Roger's ship, the Oro Jackson, was Pluton. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Because we've seen pictures of it. It doesn't really, it looks like a cool ship. It doesn't look like a badass battleship. And I don't think, Tom built the Oro Jackson, and Tom would have had the blueprints to Pluton. But the whole point of the blueprints was, in case somebody activates the actual Pluton, we can make another one to counter it. I don't think Tom would have just been like, "Hey, Roger, you want me to make you a pirate ship? Well, I have these blueprints for a world-destroying doomsday weapon I have just lying around. I guess I could bust those out."
Right.
Tom wanted to help Roger, but I don't think he would have gone the extra 1,000 miles and just handed him a doomsday Armageddon weapon, you know? So I don't think that's the case, but but Pluton is a weapon that is like a giant battleship to obliterate islands. I think Uranus or Uranus is going to be a like a weapon that shoots down from the sky or something like that. Like, because there's not that many flying machines in One Piece. There's like Eneru's Ark, and like there's some flying machines on Witheria, but that's small.
Yeah, they're like cloud-based and all that stuff. Yeah,
they're like little cloud-based scooters and things, you know, and like little hot air balloons. I hear a puppy.
Yeah, that would be my dogs.
Aw. How many dogs do you have?
Just 2.
Just 2. Okay. We have just the one. And Eneru's Ark is just actually I think his Ark might have been destroyed, but his Ark is just he can only power it himself. So if all of a sudden Uranus gets activated and it's a giant like eagle super weapon, like it's fly or it's like a spaceship, there's nothing they can do to defend against that. So I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty devastating for that to be a weapon.
Yeah, and you'd think that there would be more flying machines in One Piece, considering that it's so much easier than taking a ship. Do you think that the government would put some money that way?
I mentioned it in a video I did, in the World Government video I did. I don't know if you saw it. And I said, you know, they have the technology to build cyborgs,
right?
But they haven't figured out something that, like, you know, like, just hot air lifts things high. So it's like, it's called a blimp or a dirigible. I like to say dirigible because it's fun. But you think they would have probably come up with that at some point or another. And I feel like it's simply not because Vegapunk could figure it. Because they said Vegapunk is like creating things 500 years ahead of his time or something. And that just doesn't make a single lick of sense that he wouldn't have figured out planes yet. I think the world government just doesn't want him to make them. Because that would be such a huge disadvantage if they were ever... let's say... Okay, Vegapunk, make a bunch of these flying machines. Vegapunk does it. One of them gets captured by the Revolutionary Army, and then they decide to fly it straight to Marijois, and there's nothing they could do to stop them. Because that's one of the big defenses of Marijois is on top of the Red Line. You can't easily reach that place. But with a flying machine, you could. So I think that maybe has something to do with it. The world government's making sure that there isn't, you know, they're using their influence.
They're very anti-flight.
Like, damn you, Wright brothers. They're war criminals. Lock them up and impel down. Level 6 right now.
What do you think about where Uranus is exactly?
You know what I'm going to say. Guess.
You really have to view it as a whole.
No, I was going to say the moon. You have a very dirty mind. Because I'm obsessed with the moon.
I could do puns all day.
No, puns are awesome. Puns are extremely underrated, you know. Do you want to hear it? You want to hear a joke?
Sure.
Okay. A turn of phrase, a pun, and a limerick walk into a bar. Where's the joke? Get it?
Right.
Yeah, there you go. That was... I did that one because I was at work one day, and I think I told, like, a really, really simple joke, like a knock-knock joke or something, and my colleagues were like, gee, Matt, you can't come up with anything like a smart kind of joke, and I'm like, all right, so then I told them that one, and they found that pretty funny. There was another one that was, like, really smart, but I think it was like a chemistry joke or something, but I can't remember what it was. I say it as Uranus, because... if you say Uranus, then it sounds like anus. If you sound Uranus, that's still not much better because now you're saying urine. So Uranus was the Greek god of the sky. And I think that because Pluton, like god of the underworld, and it's a giant battleship that causes massive death. Poseidon, Greek god of, the seas and stuff. So obviously that's the naming scheme Oda's going with this. So I think it's a sky warship, and I'm calling it Uranus, and I think it's on the moon. So there you go.
Yeah, I feel like it makes the most sense for it to be on the moon. In that remark, though, it would be great if an arrow came down with it, with all the moon people on it.
That's what I think's gonna happen, and it's gonna be amazing. I don't know how he could fit into the story at this point. Like, because we already have enough action already. You already got Big Mom, you got Kaido, who are also the big enemies of this arc, stomping around, so they're pretty dangerous.
Now I'm picturing this scene where it's like the Kaido has just destroyed all of the Straw Hats and they're all about to die, and then all of a sudden the clouds part and Eneru comes down flying on this giant, it's like a giant bird. Have you played do you have a Nintendo Switch?
No.
So okay. In Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there's a part of the there's like a thing you have to take down that's like a giant like bird mech that's like flying in the sky. He's gonna come flying down on that thing, entire robot army, and he's just gonna like wipe out Kaido or something with it.
That would be fantastic.
Or maybe the Straw Hats have to go there at some point. They have to travel to the moon or something. I don't know. I mean, the moon in One Piece is weird. All you have to do is like there is oxygen on the moon. You just have to float up high enough and you'll get to it. So, yeah. This ended up turning more or less into a Will of D and more into just let's talk about the moon. The moon is pretty. There's a solar eclipse next month. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. First solar eclipse in America in like 30-something years. I think it's on August 21st, so that'll be kind of cool.
Oh, that's pretty close to my birthday, too.
Oh, that's cool. When's your birthday?
It's August 28th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool to have your birthday in August because there's like nothing else in August. There's like no holidays or anything of worth. So, and that must have sucked for you because that probably like around the time you had to go back to school then, like the end of August.
No, around that time.
I'm April 24th, so that's neat. I'm a Taurus.
Virgo.
There you go. I saw a thing on. Okay, I'm not into furries. Okay.
Where's this going?
No. It's something I saw on Facebook that was take your Chinese zodiac sign and take your astrological sign, combine them together, and that's your fursona. And that was a thing I saw. So I was born in the Chinese zodiac year of the rooster, and I'm a Taurus, so I'm a rooster bull. I don't know. That's a thing. But that was just a weird little thing I saw on Facebook when I was like scrolling down it.
Sounds like an animal that would exist in like the Last Airbender cartoon.
It does.
Just mix up a bunch of animals together.
Were you a big fan of that? Because I was.
I was big fan.
Yeah, I wish they bring it back or something.
They had the Legend of Korra.
I know, but I feel like there's so much more you could tell with this story. I feel like it could keep going because the big part of Legend of Korra was like they were getting into a more technologically advanced era, And I thought like it would have been cool to see an Avatar more closer to our time, like with big cities and stuff like that, like how that would work. Like the magic of the past being eclipsed by like the technology of the future, and if there's a place for it or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. All right, what else do we got here?
We should probably get back to the Will of D.
Dang it. I think that's pretty much Origins, Ancient Weapons. Oh, did we talk about the origins of it? I guess we kind of did. Yeah, what else? Do you have anything else on there? Because that's pretty much all I got is like those 6 bullet points.
There's so many weird theories on what the heck the D is for. Someone said like it's like the half moon or half sun. Like it's something about a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. Something's gonna happen.
That sounds like it's getting into like Full Metal Alchemist territory, to be honest with you.
When the day comes.
On the promised day. I don't know, because it's never been mentioned in One Piece, like the sun or the moon having any real. I mean, the moon, yes, but not like so much a solar eclipse or anything. Yeah, I don't know where that's going. I think that's kind of grasping at straws a little bit there, but that's just me.
Same.
Yeah, like I said, you get some really weird theories, I've heard practically every connection under the sun. I've heard, do you think Luffy's a descendant of the Gorosei? Do you think that Doflamingo was... No, it was... Well, there was the theory about Crocodile being a woman in the past. That might actually have some water because, well, Ivankov brought that up. Ivankov said to Crocodile, like, I know his secret, and Crocodile's like, don't you dare tell anybody. and you're sitting there wondering, like, what is Crocodile ashamed of? Ooh. And people have went way further than this than I ever hoped to think about it. Like, Crocodile used to be like Ivankov was like a woman at one point, and Crocodile like had sex with her, and then he got freaked out, and then that's why he doesn't want to talk about it. I've heard people. I don't think Oda's gonna go in that direction with it because it's a shonen manga, and Shueisha's very careful about that sort of stuff. But I've heard people go that far with it. I've heard people just saying that Crocodile used to be a woman, and then Ivankov used his powers on him to change him into a man. That's the most prevalent theory. Oh, and of course, we got to talk about this. It's the Will of D. So, how do you feel about it being a Buggy D Clown? Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of that theory?
Yeah, I've seen it around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet for everything that's happened to him. So...
Yeah.
And he's smiling like pretty much all the time because Diesel, they always die with like a smile on their face, you know? I'm imagining that now, though. I feel like Oda's going to do something with that, though. Oda kind of sets him up as a comic relief. I feel like it's going to be like the big epic climactic battle, and Buggy's going to play a central role and like at the last minute like save somebody's life or something, and he's going to die, and everyone's going to be like, Buggy, you were awesome, man! He was a champion at the last minute, man. And I feel like Oda's going to do something big with Buggy. That's going to be hilarious.
I couldn't imagine Buggy dying in the series, though. He's just too damn lucky.
Yeah.
I envision him as, like, the Hercule Satan of One Piece.
Yeah, Mr. Satan. Yeah. Do you watch One Punch Man?
Yes.
Yeah, like King.
Yeah, I like King.
King has a superpower, and it's just he is blessed with an ungodly amount of luck in any situation because everyone believes his bullshit, no matter who it is. Right. Even if it's a monster that could literally kill him by blinking, and it still will believe he's so powerful. But yeah, I can imagine that, though. I feel like, because Oda said that once the One Piece is found, that's going to lead to like a huge war that's going to make Marineford look like just a minor skirmish. And I feel like the longer we go in this manga, there's going to be like a turn at some point where it's going to get really, really kind of serious. I don't necessarily mean serious in that like we're going to see a Straw Hat, like a bunch of Straw Hats die or anything. I don't think any of the Straw Hats are going to die.
I would hope not. I like them
well,
all.
there's been discussions about that too, if that could happen. In fact, I might. Well, no, I kind of already did a video about that, but I might do another one. It depends on how I feel about it. But I'm saying like some characters might actually die because there's like over like 200-300 characters introduced in the story that are allies with the Straw Hats, you know. And the thing that made Ace's death so impactful was because there wasn't a lot of deaths of major characters up till that point. But if it's like final arc, great epic battle, Oda could be like, well, here we go. You know, it's like I don't have to worry about it being something after this because this is it. So I don't know. How do you feel about? This is something that seems to be stretching a little bit more, but Mad Monk Arouge. Monk Arouge. No, that's a thing. That's a legitimate thing.
Maddie Monk Arouge.
Ma D Monk. Anybody that has a D in their name. Or anybody that even slightly, like he's not Buggy the Clown, he's Buggy D Clown. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how that goes. I think, you know what, though? I think Shanks has it. I think Shanks most definitely has it.
Anything's possible.
Just because Roger had the hat, he was a D, passed it down to Shanks, and then Shanks passed it down to Luffy, who's also the D. I think it would be weird for Shanks to be right in the middle and not have it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, something along those lines. I mean, that would also require us to learn about his like last name at some point, but I think we'll learn that. We learned about Law. You know, we had like Trafalgar D. Water Law, which that was the water part was just thrown in there. We didn't know about that.
Right, it was all a big secret.
It's all big secrets of naming, yes. But anyway, this was a lot of fun, so thanks for... it was actually... I forget who it is, and I'm so sorry I'm forgetting your name right now. I would totally say it. But somebody came into my live streams every now and then, and they would, like, you know, spam a message that, like, hey, you want to collab with me? And eventually, because I get so many messages, it just goes by on my live streams. Eventually,
Right.
I noticed, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I know her." So I figured I'd pop in. Seemed like a fun little thing. I don't get to do as many collabs with YouTubers as much as I think I should, but I'm always up for this if you ever want to do it again. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
It was a ton of fun talking with you.
I'm sorry if I talk too much.
You talk a perfect amount for a One Piece discussion.
I talk a perfect amount for somebody that I guess makes a living off YouTube. I guess that's where I need to be, I suppose. I guess you don't get very far in this business, I guess, by being by being mute, I guess. We do this again, and if I'm blabbing on about something, you want to talk about something, just tell me to shut up. It's fine. I won't take offense to it.
Alright, so that ends the Will of D discussion.
Yeah, I hope we caught upon a lot of points. Like I said, you can always make a video about this. I might make a video about this in the future that might be a little bit more actually going through the structure. This was more just a general thing, but thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Program restart. Shutting down all systems. If I could find a way out of my mind.
Okay, I'm good. I'm just dark. One disaster averted, another one arrives. All right. Oh, wait, now is this gonna work through this way? Yes! Yes, I can alter settings. Yes. Okay.
Alright, that looks a little bit better.
No, we're getting there. We're getting hold on. What happens if I push that? Okay, now I look like I'm in heaven. Whenever you want to start, go for it.
Alright. It's a little bit awkward with someone watching, you know?
Okay, it's okay. I can turn my head. It's okay.
Okay, I'll start.
You can start, and then I'll do like a dramatic reveal. Yeah.
Dramatic reveal.
Yeah.
Alright.